Welcome back to Two Homers and a Realist. It is OU Texas week. It is the pinnacle of what this entire football program is about. We're about winning championships, and it starts with beating Texas. I'm Steve.
I'm Connor.
Lucas.
Jay.
We're excited. We got a lot to cover. We coming out of here the bye week. We hope we got a lot healthier. I think that the Sooners are on the road to recovery, and part of the road to recovery starts with good medical care. So we'd like to thank Dr. Michael Kiehn, board certified surgeon specializing in orthopedic sports medicine for over 20 years. Dr. Kiehn has been serving the greater Oklahoma City area along with Western Oklahoma. Not only does this include surgical skills in primarily the knees and shoulders, he is a constant figure on football sidelines throughout Oklahoma high schools and colleges. Dr. Kihn's deep commitment to sports and devotion to his patients proves that he is the man to see, even though he's an Oklahoma State fan. Oklahoma State has the bye this week. They don't have to worry about getting beat. But the Sooners don't. The Sooners are facing the arch rival, Texas Longhorns. We're going to talk to a Longhorn in just a little bit. We had an interview with Kyle Umlang from Longhorn Land, and he's riding high. We'll get to that interview in a little bit, but before that, I guess let's talk about our thoughts and what we see going into this game. We're a 14.5-point dog, guys. We gonna win?
We'll get to that later in score predictions. No, I mean it's just a nerve-wracking game right now. I mean, I think last year we had the pieces at least put together to an extent on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. We have the pieces very much put together on the defensive side of the ball, but there's still a lot to be desired from an offensive standpoint. Everyone's talking about it. It's nothing new to anybody. It's what we've been talking about for the last 5 or 6 weeks. But you got to hope this is the day that we've all been waiting for, the one that Bill Bedenbaugh circles on the calendar to say, this is the day that I finally get my offensive line to work together cohesively because I have everybody back that I want back. We've had a bye week. We've had 2 weeks to prepare, and this is when it all starts to gel. That on top of hopefully an offensive game plan that has been kind of built around Michael Hawkins over the last 2 weeks and his skills and his ability. Just a huge question mark on that side of the ball that I think you're going to know pretty quickly with how this game starts and the pace that it has and how quickly things can get caught up in the moment. You're going to know pretty fast if OU is going to be able to be competitive on the offensive side of the ball. And if we're not, the defense is going to have to really step up and have to keep us in the game where maybe we can squeeze out a couple touchdowns.
We're going to need a lot of help if we can't be competitive offensively.
Yeah.
I think you're right that it's the kind of thing you'll see right away. It could be the case that we get our feet underneath us and figure things out as it goes. But if it's not working from the get-go on the offensive line, I've got strong fear. I would have strong fear that it ain't going to get going. I could see Michael Hawkins starting slow. It's a very difficult atmosphere to come into, especially as a true freshman. So I would expect he could maybe rise up and get comfortable. But if the offensive line doesn't start out strong, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned on the defensive side about the secondary. We showed a propensity to give up a big play against Tennessee. I feel like our safeties were cheating up quite a bit to help stop the run. I don't think Texas's run game
warrants that.
Yeah, I don't think we should have to worry about it as much as Tennessee. They're down to, I think, their 4th running back. I mean, he's good, but thankfully the other 3 guys that were in front of him aren't on the field. But I'd like to see our secondary maybe play deeper coverage and not give up the big play if we're going to get even if we gave up 3 or 4 yards of carry in situations by only having front 7 essentially.
Yeah.
I know RSJ likes to come up, Billy likes to come up, but at some point you have to be paying attention
and go play safety
to runners, to wide receivers going over the top on you because we gave it up against Tennessee and Auburn
gave it up against Auburn.
So as concerned as I am about the offense and all the points Connor just made, We can't just overlook the defense.
Or assume that the defense is gonna be there.
Right. I mean, do I think they're elite? Yeah, I would say so, but they need to keep proving it.
And you'll have to be elite in this game, almost no matter what, for us to win.
But on the offense, they need to keep it. They need to slow it down. Mississippi State played Texas last week. It seemed like in the first half they did a better job of slowing it down. Texas ran away with it in the second half, but a lot of that's talent wise. You know, they ran out of gas.
Right.
Mississippi State. If we can just control the ball a little bit and give our defense breaks, then that obviously helps on my thinking too with being able to cover the over the top stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on our defensive game plan because we like bringing pressure, and that messes with any quarterback, no matter how good they are. If you can create havoc type plays, but as you both alluded to, a couple of times a game in our first couple of SEC games, we allowed people to hit us over the top, and I feel like you could actually really frustrate Texas if you made them nickel and dime it down the field.
Right.
I don't know if that bodes well though for you offensively, because if you're both shortening the game by not allowing them to have big plays and they go on long sustained drives where they either make a field goal or just, you know, take 5, 6, 7 minutes and then punt from the 40 or whatever. If your offense isn't moving the ball, now you've even shortened it almost too much.
Well,
of a game.
but I think that's what you have to do. And then there's a couple aspects to that it's okay.
But I guess what I'm saying is not the cost of creating havoc plays that give us
Right.
turnovers or whatever.
Right. So I would say it's not all or nothing either way. Like you want to create a lot of havoc, but you can't depend on we're going to have to create havoc or we can't win. You don't want them to be over the top. That's killer. If they have a 2-play drive that is a touchdown that included a 60-yard bomb, that's trouble. You don't want that because then the game's going very quickly and you're down 7 more points, or they've got 7 more points regardless of whatever you've scored. You also don't want to just play like a prevent defense. So you have to mix in a lot of aggression and say we're going to take our chances and hopefully blitz smart, not just blitz blindly and blitz constantly, or we're going to get worn out.
I think what we're going to have to see is can our front 6 or front 7 contain the run on its own?
Right. And then let the
then
other guys do what they want to
We'll
do.
keep our safeties back, and
Yeah.
if that's not working, then that's where we're going to run into trouble.
Yeah.
I
that's
think the
probably
aggression, though, I mean, a lot of the momentum and a lot of the swings that happen in this game are built on defensive aggression and making big plays in the backfield. I mean, there have been so many times where this game has swung in our favor or against us with a big play, someone getting into the defensive backfield and forcing havoc, like you just mentioned, or chaos. So it is going to be a balancing act. Like, I mean, we've showed a propensity to give up, like we've said, the big plays on both sides for each corner between Des Malone and Woody if he's out there, or Kenai Walker if he's out there. It's going to take a large group effort to be able to really contain what I think is a pretty rock solid Texas offense.
I think it could be pretty telling if Eli Bowen gets a start at one of the corners.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of hype over the last.
If he gets a
week
start
and
at
a
one of the corners, then I think there's a chance we are wanting to bring our safeties up.
So I'm not going to disagree with what you said, Connor, and I do think it's real important to be creating havoc, getting your fans into it, and they start to hear footsteps and they start to hear and fear what could happen as it's this weird tension in the air of, oh my God, the dam's about to break.
But you
We're
don't
on the
want
wrong
that to
side of
affect the
it.
coaching either.
Well, you don't. And you also, that equally can be a lot of pressure if you're making either quarterback, whoever it happens to be. It's probably going to be yours, but who knows? In a best case scenario, you've got where he is looking not so good and there's some rumblings of getting our chin. But regardless, if you create a situation where they have to make the money play 5 yards downfield, 10 yards downfield, find the open receiver, that's tough. That's its own kind of pressure because you're asking for near perfection all the way down the field for 10 different plays or
Well,
more.
I think that's what they're going to do to us.
Well, that's kind of what Arkansas did at Tennessee.
Yeah, I
last
think
week.
I guess exactly to the point.
I saw a lot of people talking about that with Arkansas last week against Tennessee. is it took them out of their comfort zone by not being able to throw it deep over the top.
Yeah.
And he wasn't as comfortable dinking and dunking it, and Arkansas won the game.
Force the issue.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
But as we'll hear, I mean, I do think Quinn Ewers thrives in those short to mid game passing areas. Like I don't think his deep ball
Right,
is
his
as
deep
good,
ball's not that good.
is as good as what he would want it to be. And I think he is relatively surgical in what he does in the short and intermediate passing game. And with Sarkisian, like the dude knows how to draw up plays to get guys open, whether it's out on the flank or over the middle of the field. So it's gonna take. I mean, it's gonna be a task. I mean, it's
Well,
gonna be
you-
a really tough test.
Like in all tough matchups, you pick your poison and you present to the other team, hopefully with a disguise to it, but basically an idea of if you're going to beat us, this is how you're going to beat us. And so it might be you take your chances on what's happening on a deep ball and you say, hey, look, if you can connect on that deep ball, you're going to have success. But we don't think you can. That's the weakest element of your offense and the weakest element of your game. So that's the thing that we're going to give the most on, and we're not going to let you beat us in the run game or whatever.
the D line's done a really good job this season getting their hands up and knocking balls down. I
Mhm.
can remember more this year than any other year. I mean, even under Brent, it seems like when our guys, they're doing a good job of feeling it when
Mhm.
they're not quite getting the quarterback, but they get their hands up and they're knocking balls
Yeah,
down.
it's been
That-
excellent.
I mean, when that gets in a quarterback's head,
Mhm.
they start trying to, well, I got to try to lob it over
Overthrow it.
these guys.
Mhm.
And then next thing you know, it sails, and then you got a safety picking the ball off. 'Cause it
Exactly.
Went over like a drag route or something.
Yeah.
And I could be completely wrong, but I wholeheartedly believe that Ewers is going to be rusty.
I think so too. I don't know how you.
I
could
just
be.
don't know, and I've talked to several, Texas fans and even OU fans that really don't agree with me. But you haven't played for a month,
How could they not
I
think
don't know.
there's a
They
risk of that? I don't understand.
but they just think he's going to step right back in and be like normal. And this isn't a normal game.
No.
And this defense isn't going to be like any defense that he's gone against this year.
Well, and it's I don't even think it's you can compare it, but it's not nearly on the same level of the one that he faced last year.
Right.
I mean, I think this
But
defense
I mean,
is
I
leaps
think-
and bounds.
And he
better.
threw interception last year. He didn't have a
Right
sack
off the get,
fumble.
right off the get.
2 interceptions.
Yeah, 2 interceptions. There was a sack fumble.
Was
I
the
think.
first pass of the game? Was that the
First pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gentry stepped in front.
I mean, if we can rattle him early
Yeah.
with him potentially being rusty,
Yeah.
it could really, really affect what
Does-
Sarkisian
Maybe a
does. with play
snowball.
calls.
Is there an OU example? It rings familiar to me that we had a situation where we were resting a guy and he came back and he was not in this game, I don't think, but he was rusty. I mean, Bradford came back briefly in this game in 2009, still suffering from injury, and maybe it was rust, maybe it was just the injury or whatever. He quickly went out. I guess did Jason White also have? But it seems like we experienced something maybe later in the season. I can't remember where there was a rust situation, but I can't imagine it's not an effect, right? You can't take a month off, not truly playing, and for most of that, not practicing, I'm imagining, and not have missed a step.
Well, and now you have, I mean, again, maybe it's tougher than this, but mentally tougher. But now you've seen your backup go out
Yeah.
and win football games. And
Pressure.
you've seen the fan base latch on to Arch Manning.
Yeah.
And again, I know Texas is behind Ewers playing, and I do think he is the better option for a game like this. Like having a veteran presence is probably a good thing. But I mean, there's some psyche there, I think, that could be affected on top of just physical rust. That, I mean, if I'm Brent, I'm saying attack the quarterback, get after
Absolutely.
Ewers and freaking get him
He's on the injury
ground.
report as probable. I mean, so he didn't get left off, that he's 100% back.
Yeah.
As of today's injury report, he's listed as probable.
So could that just be gamesmanship though?
I think so.
I mean, there's
Maybe.
no regulation of that. It's not like they're going to say, actually,
He's
no,
not
he
hurt.
definitely
He's a
was not
liar.
hurt at all. Yeah. So I don't know if I trust
I
it.
don't know what the integrity or ethics rules are around.
I don't even know why they're releasing him. It's just a media
point-
fan
it's
thing,
pointless,
I guess.
right?
Something the SEC wanted to start doing.
Yeah, but why?
You could just lie.
I mean, why does anyone need to know? I'm okay with it. I like it. Maybe they just want to improve the product, and they know fans want to know this.
Maybe they're working on a partnership with gambling sites.
Maybe so.
And that's something that
Honestly,
they want, 'cause that's where the NFL does it.
yeah. I mean, for integrity in that too.
Yeah.
So that's actually a pretty good argument.
The NFL has
It would
actual
take-
regulations to have people
Right.
Right.
But it's set up because of
Right.
gambling.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want to take out the insider knowledge aspect, so you just make public everything to do with
So
it.
maybe the SEC is just trying to get ahead of things and start theirs now, because this is the
Yeah.
first year they've done it. Maybe they foresee a future where gambling is nationally legal,
Yeah,
and that they're
Maybe.
gonna get in with ESPN Bet or DraftKings or whoever, and they're just gonna start this process now.
You
Well,
probably need to have a black or white though, eventually, right? Either they're out or they're
Or they're
available.
available. Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're gonna play.
Well, that's
but
not how the
they're
NFL,
available.
NFL does it just like the SEC's
They
doing.
do questionable and probable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then
So
doubtful. I mean, there's
I can see it being just good information. You don't want that way. You take the seedy elements out of interference with games and knowledge of stuff, even if they don't build a partnership. Michael Hawkins, what does he got to do? Seth Luttrell, what does he got to do for us to succeed in this game?
We've got to mold it around, whatever he tells Seth that he's most comfortable with. And then Seth, as a coordinator, has to draw up the types of plays that aren't just nothing tricky, but just that's not just so simplistic.
Right.
Like we've got to
I worry
gotta
about the
confuse-
overly
we've
simplistic.
got to confuse Texas a little bit with
Mhm.
something.
Yep.
And I think there has to be at least 10 designed quarterback runs in this game.
Yeah, my worry is it's so simplistic. Even if the design quarterback runs, that Texas just snips it out and a quick 3 and out where you're like, God, that just didn't look good. And I don't know. I almost rather them take a strike downfield in the first drive, maybe the first play.
Well, I've always
Just to
felt
say
that
we're
in
gonna
general.
do
I
it.
think once a quarter,
Yeah,
you've just got to air one out,
right.
just to keep them
just to
honest.
keep
a
them
little bit.
honest, and if nothing else, the first play of the game, you go out and do that. I mean, obviously, if you throw an interception, it's bad, but a deep interception is not the worst thing in the world. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a good quote from Britt today, and someone was asking him, how do you prepare Michael Hawkins, a true freshman, to play in this game? And he gave a great answer, and I fully agree with it. It's like, you don't prepare him. Like, this is
Yeah.
all on him to, I mean, you prepare him to a point to know the playbook and execute plays. But from a mental perspective, I mean, it's all once you run out that tunnel, how you want to
Right.
decide to handle yourself. And I think it's going to be important to, and so much easier sitting in this chair smoking a cigar saying this, obviously, but being able to keep a somewhat of a level head early in the game and not panicking when you feel the pocket moving around you and you feel like you're getting suffocated because you're backed up to the Texas end zone and all you can hear is their fans. I think a level of just patience and not being too quick to run out of the pocket and try to do something with your legs that you don't necessarily
See,
have to do.
I think it's Steph's job to take all of that off of his shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a level of
And
Yeah,
with play call and play
with play
design.
call, yeah, for sure.
Like I don't think you want to just, hey, stand in the pocket and feel all the things that you're saying he's going to feel.
Yeah.
And get that pressure on him. No, get him out.
Mhm.
Get him an easy read. Give him an easy 5-yard run. Give
Yeah.
him a hitch and a go, or you keep
As long
it.
as we're giving him those options, because we have not been leveraging
Or just give him
those
an
at
easy
all.
swing, just stuff to get him into the game.
Well, that's
the
the play that-
cliche of getting the quarterback, easy throws to get him going.
And maybe it's because we haven't been running it very much, but I swear the freaking delayed swing pass out to the running back in the flat has been used so much this year across so many teams.
The
And
NFL
it's
throws
been-
it 10 times a game.
And it's been like remarkably successful. It feels like we're the only team who can't run it. And then one time we do run it, we get called for a Bauer Sharp illegal procedure because he runs forward at the line of scrimmage or doesn't.
Or doesn't.
Um,
Actually, maybe doesn't. Yeah.
but it's just stuff like that. Like having, like you said, Jay, deception and stuff to confuse Texas, having the offense run this way and Javonte Barnes or Taylor Tatum run the other way and having it open in the flat and one guy to beat. Like there has to be some creativity.
Well,
that
I
we haven't seen.
like creativity with options that are simple. So
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Roll them out to the right. It's a run pass option. It's a single look. Even if maybe it's a disguised run pass option and it's run all the way, or it's pass all the way, or whatever. and there's 2 looks. There are lots of ways I think that you can add a wrinkle, but at the same time keep it dialed down so that he doesn't have to look and see and calculate 10 different things on the playing field. You don't want, if you're relying on that, we'll be in trouble fast. I'm really worried about that type of a situation.
I think our biggest threat on offense is Michael Hawkins' threat to run,
Right.
and that you could do a lot of fake quarterback draws, say where you're rolling him to the right, where he's got it kind of tucked.
Someone's fluffing
And
it
then,
over the top.
and you've got a receiver going out, and
Yeah.
as soon as that corner thinks he's going to break the line of scrimmage and run, he's going to start peeling off, and you just pop it over the top
Right.
for 15-yard gain because they had the threat of the run so hard.
Does that not seem so straightforward though?
I mean, you can't do it 15 times a game.
No, I know,
you
but
can do
like-
it 4 or 5.
Well, even
But
if
I mean, it's what Vanderbilt was doing to Alabama
I think you can do it a lot.
the whole
actually.
game the other day.
Yeah, I think you
It's
can do it
rolling
quite
that
a
kid
bit.
out to the right and having a tight end pull across, acting like he's a lead blocker, getting the commitment from the defensive backs
Dump
and
it.
popping it over the top. It was beautiful.
I think you can do
It
all
was
of
so
that a
beautiful.
lot. You just look for what's working, and if it's working, you keep exploiting it, knowing they're going to be spying the quarterback. And you've got almost a guaranteed commitment out of one of those linebackers of where they're going to be tracing the quarterback. And so, yeah, just like that, you've then got the opportunity to, if you can read maybe one thing and know which, now the receiver probably has to read something too.
Right.
And know where to break. But if they both can get on the same page with that, that's an easy nickel dime completion that would run the clock and probably get into the heads of Texas. Also, if you get enough of those opportunities, it's just one guy has to make an athletic play, and that becomes a really big play. And again, in this game, then that crowd is behind it, call it momentum or whatever. It gets really challenging when all of a sudden you let a guy break free for 30 yards, and now you're on your as a defense on your own 30-yard line trying to defend somebody who's basically in field goal territory. I don't know, maybe from all my experience in it, you just get this feeling of that's a big deal. That's a big deal because this game can turn on little things.
Our first down play calls have to be for positive yards.
First and
And
second.
we
down.
have just not done a good job.
You've been
with it
losing on
whatsoever.
first and second down. You
It's
cannot keep
been
losing on
pathetic.
those 2 downs. I would love to see our average on first and second downs, like sequentially. I bet
Maybe it's
it's
2 yards.
So
Maybe.
interestingly,
really,
think
or
about
3 at best.
when we were up at the end of the Auburn game, we're up. And if I'm remembering this right, and we're still the one where we had the consecutive stupid penalties, where it starts with Barnes gets the first down and they don't give him the first down.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's 2nd-1,
Yes,
and then we get a 10-yard.
they're already partying going around here. Yeah, and so the point was we were getting yardage, and they knew what we were going to do. So it's not like they were having to defend the entire field. We weren't going to run a deep route. We weren't going to do anything. We're just trying to possess the ball and get yardage, and yet we were seeing success. We saw actually a lot of success. We got called back on penalties that did not affect the play. They would not have caused the defense to stop the yardage that was gained. So maybe there's hope there. Maybe there's hope that with that, whatever was going on, it was starting to click. And that would be my hope. My homer take is what we saw in the second half and the end of the Auburn game was indicative of who we are as an offense now, not everything we've seen up to this point, basically.
Well, we saw the opportunity for the deep ball as well. I mean, we saw that it is something that we do have in
He
our back
can
pocket.
throw,
It may be
and it
deep in the
can be
back
caught.
pocket. But yeah, it was a deep ball we finally connected on. Well thrown ball, well caught ball, as much as he scared me that he actually dropped it. But I mean, I like what you said, Jay. I mean, I think a quarter or a play a quarter at least with someone just streaking out over the top, keep him honest, and then go back to the regularly scheduled programming. And who knows, you might. I wasn't the one thinking for sure that JJ Hester was going to catch a 40+ yard pass the other day against
Right.
Auburn.
Well,
to
he
put
looks
us in a
fast.
position. He is
did look
fast.
He's fast.
He
He's
finally
big.
learned how to catch the ball. He's huge. Like he should be Jaden Gibson.
Yeah.
He's been
So
catching balls for 5 years.
I guess that's the thing that's a little tricky about this is there's a game 1 or game 2 aspect of it, because for our offense, we hit reset. in the Tennessee game. And that reset. So Auburn was very much a game 1 for Michael Hawkins. This is game 2, but it's OU Texas. We're deep into the season at this point. That's definitely tricky. I guess on the positive note, you have something that you haven't had, which is in most recent seasons, a defense that can defend, a defense that can get you possessions, much less sometimes turnovers. But just if they can get you a flipped field, that can be a big difference maker in this game for sure. Obviously, the offense has to come through and make, if we get the ball because of a turnover, because of a punt return, because of a bad punt or whatever on the 50-yard line, you always feel like this, but we really have to score. We have to get some points out of an
Yeah, you've got to
opportunity
make
like
them
that.
pay.
You got to make them pay because you're not going to get many opportunities.
No. Turnover, the points off turnover here is huge in
Yeah.
this game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to not only take the ball away, but to score points off of it, it makes and breaks this game at times. I think looking back to and hindsight being 2020, is I didn't really think about it until tonight, but how glad I am that Michael Hawkins' first start was on the road in a hostile environment.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's not comparative to anything I think that we're going to see on Saturday. I think
It's pretty good. It's
just
tough.
it is. It's yeah, not we weren't at Auburn, like we can't speak to the environment, but for everything we've heard and know about it, it seems like a pretty tough place to play. So at least he has some road experience in his pocket with going into this game where it's going to be again hostile on one side of the field. Just gotta hope he's carrying that experience forward and kind of hardening from it, I guess.
So if you're Texas, I'm thinking about the risk that they may not be seeing because we're watching and seeing a
Do they see
lot of
risk?
stuff. I don't think so.
I don't think
As
they
we
see
look
risk.
out at X and we watch some of these little snippets of different podcasts and such, their level of confidence is off the
Sky
charts,
high.
sky high, to the moon. I've got to think there's a couple of risks here. One, they're overlooking us. Whether or not they're looking ahead to Georgia, just that they're counting this as a victory. They're 14.5-point favorites. They're supposed to win big.
And man, that score line, that line has
That's a big
it's
line.
been plastered
It's
everywhere.
crazy.
It's like everyone's talking about
They've
it.
got to be seeing it.
Nuts.
They've got to be thinking about
Yeah.
it. It's got to be in their head.
We got to be seeing it.
We've got to be seeing it in a good way for us.
Right.
So you've got that. In addition to that, they haven't played anybody. They really haven't played anybody. Their
I
toughest.
mean, the Michigan game was a big game. Obviously, they're not as good as everybody thought they were with their ranking. Michigan's still a returning national champion. They lost tons of
but
players,
statistically, they're not.
but athlete-wise, they still have athletes.
But they
They're not
haven't
playing.
produced.
They're not playing well this year, but athlete-wise, they're probably comparable to
Would they
us
beat-
on offense athletically.
Would they beat Tulane?
Yes.
Maybe. Not for sure. On paper,
Would
they
they
don't.
beat Houston by more than 4? Probably.
They on paper, their stats have been worse than those teams in offense and defense, or maybe better in one of those two categories, defense. That's their toughest opponent, and it's only in the middle of our rank of most difficult opponents in terms of how good they've been on offense and defense. I'm not discounting the fact that
Michigan was
Michigan's not-
actually really, really bad offensive. Like it
yeah,
got
like pathetically bad.
like it didn't look good in that game, and a lot of people just wanted to attribute that to Texas itself. But as more games have played out, Michigan is just really
Well, and
bad.
the only credit they've gotten really for a decent win was against what now looks like a very subpar USC team
Right.
at home. I mean, and again, it's just I do Lucas, I agree to you to an extent for sure. I think talent wise, like our offense and their offense probably pretty similar.
Well, I'm going to look at it this way. So the
not a
most
quarterback.
No, I would take our
No,
quarterback over
Yeah,
Michigan.
for sure. Look,
Absolutely.
100%.
But you can
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that going back the last decade.
Yeah.
the most we
Quarterback
can
for
reach
Michigan.
for if we're going to try to defend Texas's schedule is a Michigan team that we have to really, really hold our breath or swallow hard to accept as a good team.
It's a very hostile environment, though.
It is a
Yeah.
hostile environment. That's the best we got?
115,000 people. whatever.
So that's what I'm gonna say. That's the best we got.
And again, this
Their
will be,
schedule's weak. They
Yeah.
haven't played anybody.
this will be indicative to what I say later in the podcast, but I don't think we go into Michigan and beat Michigan the way that Texas beat Michigan, at least at this point in the season. To be honest.
I don't know.
I
With
really-
Michael Hawkins,
I mean, what was the final score of that game? 35-13?
Michigan's just bad. Our defense is not gonna let them
Does
score.
Michigan beat Auburn on a neutral field?
I'm not saying we
No.
lose to Michigan.
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, here,
I'm not
Short
saying we
of-
lose.
short
I'm
of
not saying we
turnovers
lose to
that-
Michigan.
That may or may not happen. I don't think so.
I think we beat
Auburn's
Michigan.
better than their record.
so this is yards
Like
per
every
play.
team we play.
This is yards per play on by the offenses that Texas has played. The best offense they've played so far is Mississippi State, and they're 89th in the country. Then Colorado State is 101st, Michigan is 106th, UTSA is 108th, and Louisiana Monroe is 127th.
Now, where are we at on that list?
We're close to that list.
Exactly.
But
But we're
We
close to
wouldn't
that
be-
list. We wouldn't be if
we
Michael
wouldn't be
Hawkins.
Hawkins. That's
The whole
that's
way.
that's the hard part
We don't
to
know that.
figure. We do know. 'cause
We
already put
pretty
our
much
yards
know
and
that.
everything.
I mean, look at where it is through through 1.5 games.
Conversely, the offensive we faced, Auburn's 10th, Tennessee's 22nd, Tulane's 28th, and then Houston and Temple are in the 100. But I mean, we faced 3 top 28, 1 top 10 offense so far.
I bet it ends up being. I mean, Tennessee is undervalued if you ask me
Yeah,
on that.
And their best is Mississippi State, who is probably the
Bad.
worst team in the SEC.
Right.
I mean, might go winless in this.
That's insane.
So, I'm not saying that it means it's curtains for Texas, but they haven't played anybody. They haven't been tested.
No, and I agree.
They don't know how good they are or not, and we
or
don't know
not
how
good.
good
Yeah.
or not good they are.
And
So-
it feels like, I mean, it feels like there's a lot of parity right now across the top 10 in terms of who's actually good, who's not good.
And Michigan's defense is ranked 40th in the country.
And they were a top 10 last year, right?
And that's the best defense they faced.
Our best defense is
Tennessee's ranked 4th.
Seriously?
Mhm.
Tennessee's is ranked 4th?
Yep, Houston is 36.
well, they played Oklahoma. Man.
Yeah, Houston is 36, Auburn is 37, Tulane is 50th. And Texas has played against Michigan at 40, Louisiana Monroe tied at 40, UTSA at 85, Colorado State 92, and Mississippi State 100.
Is this just total defense?
I think it's yards per play allowed.
So here's my story. Texas, with a combination
They literally have played nobody, honestly.
of having played nobody, looked great playing nobody,
Yeah, they did what they're supposed to do.
did what they're supposed to do, but looked great, but played nobody. And at the same time, has all this narrative back here about here, you're the great, you're as good as you've ever been, you're number one in the nation. You've got these real opponents
Carrying
coming
the
up.
conference.
You're carrying the conference where they've got every reason to overlook us or come into this game taking us lightly to one degree or another. That can just be emotionally, and that's to their detriment. We're not going to take them lightly emotionally or in the last 2 weeks of preparation.
Yeah, the coaches aren't. But you can't avoid that from trickling down to the players.
Exactly.
I mean,
The coaches might, though, if they say, all right, I got a budget these 2 weeks, and I've got Georgia and the emergent power of Vanderbilt right after that. So I got to prepare for Georgia and prepare for what I'm going to do. And they could be lapsadaisical too. They could say, it's tough to work on stuff when everything's working. So it's like, what do you do? It's like, well, we just do more of everything that's working right. There's nothing to correct. There's nothing you're just trying to fine tune, which again, is difficult to get a player to engage with that and get to that next level. It's difficult for themselves as coaches to look critically and say, well, here's where we could actually be better, and we have a shortcoming. So I don't know. It's just there's the potential.
I mean, the way Sark has talked about it they did the Brent Venables interview with Kirk Herbstreit. They did a Sark one, and Sark walks down the hall, and I kid you not, says, I mean, look at our logo. Like, we live rent free in everybody's head. Everyone knows this logo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's freaking insane.
Can you imagine Stoops ever saying that?
Was he
No.
walking past all the swimming trophies? Is that what he was doing?
It may have been. I may have been the swim. Yeah, he may have taken.
They are
taken
really
a
good
They
dive.
have the
swimming.
entire wall of swimming
They're
trophies.
really good in swimming.
It's just crazy to
Synchronized?
me that And that's what Sark looks like, that kid that used to get his ass beat in school and then got a great job and is like,
Goes
dude,
back to the high school reunion.
yeah, it's like, look at this, look at what I've done. Like, okay, you're the head coach.
You're
of
still that
Texas.
guy.
Like, tell
Go
me what
drink
you've
the
done.
toilet
Yeah,
water. Shut
exactly.
up.
So I don't know. It's I hope that's the case. I think Texas will be up for this game.
Oh yeah,
There-
no doubt about it.
and but I do think there is a chance.
Up and preparation are two different
I think there
things.
is a chance for, yeah, you can be amped for a game, but if you didn't spend the time preparing like you should have prepared, you could be in for a rude awakening.
Well, dare I say that is
It was
the
a
way
12 and a half
Oklahoma-
point line. It was a 12 and a half point line last year.
Oklahoma's come into this game not prepared apparently, but very hyped. And we either almost lost or did
Or did
lose this
lose.
to it, the
2018.
I mean, well, not 2018 isn't the worst example. I mean,
No.
you go back and look at what Mac Brown's
2015.
Tyrone swoops.
2015.
the swoops is just
2015
that's absurd.
awful.
That's ridiculous.
And like we heard, Texas finished what, 5-7 that year?
Yeah.
And we finished
11
and 1.
We were trying to have Mac Brown keep his job at that point.
We wouldn't run Samaj P. around and Joe Mixon.
It
That
was
was the first
crazy.
time that we should have known Lincoln Riley was not it.
yeah.
Is when he did that.
That's interesting. Well, I don't know what one last thing before we get to Kyle and that interview. What kind of game and style, we've talked about this a little bit, but what style and strategy do you think we need to employ in a general sense, offensively and defensively, to have our best shot at winning? We got to slow the ball down, right? We all in agreement with that?
I think we slow it down, but I also think there's a chance to run a little bit of a hybrid pace. Like if I get a 8 yards on a first down and I'm seeing something that I like from a matchup perspective on the defense and I don't sub, and I run to the line and I have the guys out there that I want to have out there and there's something easy that I can give it to, let's do it. But overall, yes, I think holistically, I think we saw some huddle last week against Auburn. I know we saw some huddle against Tennessee. I do think slowing the ball down or slowing the game down is going to be beneficial for us. And if we can actually go to score points, could be detrimental to Texas, assuming our defense is performing the way we think it could.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This game just kind of takes its own shape, though. Like,
Yeah.
I think
I think you got to be careful, like you're saying, that if you go in thinking, I have to slow the ball down, I have to slow the ball
that could go
down,
out the window real quick.
you could sacrifice your chance of success just for the sake of, I can't snap the ball until there's 5 seconds on the clock.
Mhm.
And you're not thinking about what's really going on in the game. And especially if you've got a mismatch that you can exploit.
What's the last time we saw a true defensive struggle in this game? Defensive match from both sides.
2001.
Against them now.
I mean, look at the scoreline. Like,
Look at
What was the first Vince Young year? Was it like
yeah, it was
12-0 or something?
12-0. Yeah, 12-0.
Yeah, that was 2000.
And there was a
4.
14-7 in
I've got
there
the
or
scores pulled
something.
up.
Yeah, get those scores.
Or was that 03?
I mean, every one of them we're talking about. 03 was a real big score.
Yeah, it was
65-13.
65-13.
65-13, yeah.
Yeah.
04, we won 12-0.
Right.
And that's a team that set, I mean, not records, but that was
They scored a lot.
Jason White and Adrian Peterson finished second in the Heisman. Jason White finished third in the Heisman.
Yeah.
We had tons of talent on that team and still only scored 12 against Texas in that game.
09 was 16-13.
Yeah, that was pretty tight.
And
That was minus Bradford.
had Bradford
After
been able to
the
not
quarter.
get hurt in that game,
Yeah,
we probably win it. That game was so frustrating
very frustrating.
because we had a chance to win it at the end. That's, I mean,
That's probably the last one.
2015, you have 24-17.
I wouldn't call that.
I mean, one of my-
Which year was that?
15 when we lost.
To me would be extremely fun, but stressful to watch a game because it is so rare anymore, all across the sport, to have just
Like a
the
17,
defense
13.
is just battling.
Well, I mean, the Tennessee game was a defensive struggle that we had. I mean, truly.
Yeah, a defensive game.
If
Yeah.
we don't give
touchdown right
if we
before
don't
half.
give up the touchdown and we don't give up the safety, I mean, that
and
game
can,
is
can capitalize with just field goals. on our
extremely
turnovers at least.
interesting. Yeah, except
Yeah.
apparently
I mean,
Chandler
it would be,
doesn't-
I personally, if the defense, I know there's a lot of pressure. If the defense can play just absolutely lights out and our offense is just okay,
We're gonna win the game.
yeah, to me, it would be an extremely fun game.
But
Oh,
this defense, the last I mean, this defense under Brent in this game, I get very excited about.
It's done well all 3 years, including the 49
Yeah,
nothing, to
and
tell
I
you the
think
truth.
I think that there's a different type of just like adrenaline that runs through those guys, and you can see it on
I
the
mean,
field.
think what it'll do to Texas and Sark if we're going, midway through the second quarter and they maybe have a field goal. I mean, they
Oh,
are going to
yeah.
be pressing. They are going to be, the whole team is going to be stressed and freaked out. I think we'll be much more comfortable.
Well, and I think you're probably in a
With
position
that.
where Texas coaches, including Sark, are in a very reactionist mentality where it's like, we're chalked up to be this team who goes and puts up a lot of points. We're chalked up to be this team that goes and puts up a lot of yards. If we don't let them do that, to your point, you start forcing stuff.
Well, yeah,
you start trying to make things happen
You
that
have to be,
aren't
and you
there.
should be upset. If
Yeah.
you're a 14.5 point favorite,
The lower the score, the better our chance to win it, I think.
probably so.
Yeah, definitely, because our offense isn't gonna go put up
Yeah, I don't-
500 yards.
I don't think so. I think actually the closer the game, the better our chances to win, either way. And actually, if you said in the
I
fourth
just mean, if you
quarter,
told me the
Well, I think
over,
that
if
is
you
the
told me the
lowest.
over under number
No.
was, if
I
the
don't
over
think
was
that's true.
40, I think we're in a much better shape.
oh, that's probably true because we're probably getting our butts kicked if it's a high number.
Yeah, that's
But
what
if it's a 3 point game, 10-7 or 38-35, I'll take 38-35 all day. Because that means we're scoring and we have a chance. I don't know if we have a chance to do anything in a 10-7 game because our offense is so bad. But if our offense can score, that gives us a puncher's chance.
If we give up more than 40 in this game, I mean, I'd even say 35 plus. I'm gonna really sit back and question what I thought about the defense. Like I'm not saying I'm gonna sit and be like, it's
Depends
not.
what they're, how they're, it depends
Yeah,
how they
depends.
got.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, let's just say it's all offensive touchdowns.
I mean, if they
it's
just
all
drive down,
sustained
if they just have
drives.
75-yard drives over and over and over.
But I mean, yeah, if we're out on if it's 35-0 and the time of possession is 17 to 43, that math adds up. Then yeah, like fine. Defense has been on the field all game. Offense hasn't sustained possessions, fine. But possession holding true if it's relatively close in time of possession and we're still giving up a bunch of points. I mean, I don't think Texas's offense is any better than the Tennessee offense we faced. I truly don't.
No, I don't either. I don't either. No, I don't.
Like, there's no reason
Other
that
than
we should.
experience a quarterback.
Yeah,
Experienced
experience quarterback, play
But a
calling,
quarterback that doesn't have as
maybe.
good of an arm downfield. Yeah, play calling is probably better. I would say Sark versus Heupel is probably Sark advantage. I don't know. Everything's up for grabs.
We just want a tight game. I mean, we're the
Yeah.
underdog. You want a tight game,
Yeah.
regardless. You want
You
to
want to be within a shot
wanna
of winning the game
have
in
a
the fourth
shot.
quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've done that, I hate to think about moral victories, but if you can lose by less than 7, that's a huge moral victory
Massive.
in a season where you're still in pursuit of a lot of stuff and a lot of stuff's happened so that you're not where you otherwise wanted to be. It could still be a disappointment because of the start, but if you look at it from the standpoint of we hit reset, and once we hit reset with Michael Hawkins, if things started to improve, and you can say, well, looking back, post Tennessee, we're 2-1 after the South Carolina game. We only lost to Texas. You probably take that. That's probably pretty good, especially if that loss is a narrow loss. But I don't want to lose. We're going to win. And I tell you somebody who thinks they're going to win, and that's our guest. We're going to cut to that interview with Kyle Umlang, and we'll be back in just a second. All right, we have Kyle Umling on the pod. Kyle, welcome to Two Homers and a Realist. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing?
Doing really good. Are you fired up for this game?
Yes, very fired up. I'm always fired up for OU weekend, especially this year because Texas is actually decent. So hopefully we can finally beat you guys.
Number 1 team in the country.
That's right. You're more than
You
You
decent.
guys are carrying the conference, is what they say. So
Yep,
Well,
just
totally
like
got to
OU
do it
Texas.
since
Awesome.
Bama can't.
Yeah,
right.
they clearly cannot.
Yeah.
Well, you were pretty good last year, and that was a really good game. It ended better for us than it did for you. So, let's get into it. So, give me some frame of reference how many OU Texas games or Texas OU games, as you may call them, have you been to?
4 or 5. I went to 05, 06, 07, 08, and then a random one after that. I don't know.
Okay. So are you going to the game?
I am not.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Well,
Kyle, are you based in Austin or where are you based out of?
No, I'm actually in Ohio.
Oh,
So
nice. Okay. That
it's
makes sense why you're
I
not.
got family who lives right in Dallas, but it's still hard to get down there.
Yeah,
So,
no doubt. It's a crazy weekend.
yeah, that's an expensive trip to Dallas, that's for sure.
yeah.
Tell me about it. So three of us will be
All
at the
going?
game. 3 of the 4 of us will be there.
Yep.
So it'll be, how many for you?
It'll only be my 6th, I think.
Okay, how many for
This will be
you?
my 15th.
This will be my 41st.
Yeah.
In
He's
a
a
row.
little bit of an
In a
addict.
row.
In a row.
In a
Wow.
row. In a row. So it,
That's the record. I'm sure someone has something close to that. That's got to be.
yeah, I mean, I know there's some that are going to be able to eclipse that, but it's tough to do because just life happens. So it's just
Yeah.
been a little bit lucky, fortunate for me that, or maybe I just structure my life around it. I make sure that I'm available second Saturday in October.
You just rip up any
So-
fall wedding invitations you get.
Oh yeah,
around October.
that's a given.
Out of the question.
That
We don't become friends with people that have weddings or
right.
even funerals.
I have
That's
literally,
wedding.
I've literally missed weddings,
Yeah.
and if you die, I'll send flowers.
Yeah.
I just tell
Wow.
people I'll go to the next one.
Either way.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like in from reading some of your stuff, I think you're riding kind of high. Does OU have a chance in this game?
Yeah, they do because it's the Red River game. Anything can happen. If 11-1 regular season 2015 OU can be beat by 5-7 Charlie Strong, anything can happen. So
That's true. That's how we look at it
I mean,
too. Yeah.
you saw it with the Dicker the Kicker game in 18, how y'all came fighting back at the very end and tied it up. You saw it with the 4 overtime game. You saw the coming back from up 28-7 game.
Oh, ain't nothing.
Even last year, year, we had a good shot, but something you can't predict or practice for are turnovers. We had one right off the bat, and I think got you, if not in the red zone, but close to the red zone, easy scoring position. That is not the way to start a rivalry game. So
No, definitely not. And you had then another one in your red zone where you're going in to score,
Right.
at least going to get a field goal out of that drive. Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
and then the first and
Goal
one
lines.
goal line, 4 stops. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
So
It's a game. It's a game of swings for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
I think,
it's those
I
types
think
of-
that's right on that, right?
yeah, those types of things you have to avoid if you want to win this game because that's all the other team needs really. Stats come out the window. It's all about passion and emotion. They're all great players, so anything can happen.
So to me, the way the 4 groups set out, I think the best unit on the field is going to be the Texas defense. The second best is the Texas offense. The third is the Texas defense, and then of course, fourth would be the OU offense. So I really
Said
see
Texas
this.
defense twice. I think
I
you
did?
Yeah. So
Did you-
OU defense is the best unit.
Okay.
The
Okay.
Yeah,
second
I was
best
gonna say, I
unit
think
is the
you meant
Texas
OU
offense.
defense, yeah.
Yeah. Then the third is the Texas defense, and fourth is OU offense.
Gotcha.
So to me, it's all about what we can do offensively to try and move the ball. I think the Texas offense isn't as good this year as it was last year, even though it is good, and I think our defense has improved from
Mhm.
last year.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
your defense definitely has improved. But I think our offense is pretty similar to last year. We basically just plug and played from the transfer portal anyone we were missing.
Mhm.
yeah,
got
and I think that's what I'm.
wide
I'm
receivers,
bummed
great
about,
tight end.
The wide receivers.
Yeah. So,
Our offense is missing probably is the run game.
right.
I would like to see that going on Saturday, but
Us too.
we're on our
For
third
us.
string running back, so who knows?
Yeah,
what-
you're hurt at running back, similar to how we're hurt at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So both teams are feeling some
wide receiver
pain.
for us is much worse than their running back situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I said not exactly.
Down 5 starters at wide receiver is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very rough. So obviously part of what we're going to try to do is integrate Michael Hawkins and give you guys trouble. Do you give any concern or worry to the fact that you really don't have a lot of game film on him to know exactly what to prep for, or do you think they'll be able to
No,
make adjustments?
because we've had years of film on certain quarterbacks and still can't beat them. So I don't think it matters how much film you have.
Hmm.
I I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Even if they were playing the other guy, they could have switched him out. We wouldn't have been prepared anyway. I don't think it matters. I'm more worried about the offense scoring. If they can just score a couple times on y'all, I think the game will be over. Because I think
Yeah, I
y'all
think
have a lot harder
that's the tough
time
part.
scoring than we will.
Yeah, I think if we get down early in this game, it'll be a tough hill to climb. So where do you stand? Like you said, you mentioned your offense, the Texas offense. Where do you kind of stand in the Arch Manning, Quinn Ewers situation? I mean,
Yeah.
are you in the boat of excited about Ewers coming back? Are you in the
Oh
boat
yeah,
of yeah?
yours is a much cleaner player. He doesn't have the deep ball that Arch has or the speed and like rushing that Arch has, but he's pretty. He's like a surgeon when he throws those balls from 1 to 15 yards. He's pretty accurate,
Yeah.
and he has 3 years of experience. So when Arch is throwing those stupid interceptions against Mississippi State, Quinn did that 2 years ago. He's not gonna throw stupid interceptions as often as Arch. So I'm just excited to have a veteran quarterback back because I think we'll have a better chance of winning. They're both great, but I think Quinn's more experienced and better.
Do you worry at all about the rust for Ewers coming back after missing 4 weeks?
Yeah, but this is his third season to get injured at the beginning of the season, then come back mid-season, and he always has been fine. And I think this is the slightest of the injuries he's had, so I'm not too concerned about it.
Yeah, it's almost like you guys had the Arch Manning option, and it gave more of an opportunity to rest Ewers when in other seasons you may not have been able to. So
Right.
that makes sense.
How many games has Arch played?
Played
Yeah.
probably 5 or 6. Started 2.
Okay. He's burned the red shirt.
That was last
No,
year.
no,
He's
this
you're-
Oh, you're right.
This year,
you're
I think
right.
he
forgot.
played in 4
forgot you
only.
red shirt last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, my fault. So, when we look at it statistically, Texas's opponents don't match up real strongly either on offense or defense. Not that OU's have played a tremendous schedule yet, but
Yeah.
statistically, at least for what it's worth, they're quite a bit ahead of Texas. Does that give you any concern that Texas really just hasn't been tested?
No. I going into the season, I thought OU would struggle on offense, be elite at defense, and they've proven that basically so far. And then add in the injuries to wide receiver. I think I don't know. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. So, what do you, when you look at things you might be worried about, what would concern you in terms of what the Sooners, if they have success in this area, or what they could do to exploit?
If they march down the field first drive and score, shit, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because that's not something anyone on our team is planning for. So, I think first quarter we'll probably back and forth a little bit, maybe some couple 3 and outs for both sides, getting used to the environment and all that. And then I think maybe by second half they've each scored. There's probably gonna be some turnovers. It's probably be a low scoring, close half score. And then I think third quarter Texas will finally find their groove and start scoring. And then by fourth quarter it'll be people leaving. That it's not worth staying.
So when I look at OU and I get concerned about what we're going to have to be better at than what we've been and where our big weakness is, it's offensive line. Also, quarterback play and decisions there. But if we can't protect, if we can't open up running lanes, and if we can't give our quarterback time in the pocket sometime to make throws, then we're dead. We're in real trouble. Do you have an area of concern like that for Texas, a weak area, or is everything just strong?
No, they've actually been playing pretty well along the defensive line this year. And, we lost Sweat and what was his face?
Murphy.
Yeah, Byron Murphy. And they couldn't get to y'all last year. I remember I was like, we should have a lot more sacks, guys. What y'all are amazing. Why are they stopping you? So I honestly think we've looked better on film this year than last year in that area. I don't know if it's opponents or they've improved or what. But I'm not really that concerned about it.
Yeah, and I think that's such an area of the game, that battle up front, that at least in memorable games that I've been to where we've won or where Texas has won, dominating on the defensive line is such a game changer. I mean, to get a big sack in minus territory or anything like that, it just seems to be such a tone setter in this game. So
Mhm.
that's my biggest area of concern. Like you said, Steve, I mean, if we had any ounce of what we've been doing in the past 5 games from an offensive line standpoint, it's not only the fact that we're giving up big plays, it's the fact that it's in OU Texas and the momentum going towards Texas in such a strong way.
Yeah.
Could put it away in a way that we haven't seen yet. So that's my area of concern for sure.
And as y'all know, momentum is the killer in this series.
Yeah.
All you need
Yeah.
is momentum, and you can do anything in this game.
Yeah, you need.
It's just amazing to feel that move through the stands and sway between the two sides.
Literally.
And
I
hear
lived through it,
the sounds. It's just, there's nothing like it in college football. It's
I know.
amazing.
Yeah.
Truly, truly amazing. So one thing that I like asking Texas fans, and I don't get too many opportunities to do it, is when we talk about the thing that's obviously the trigger for Texas, it's horns down. And how is it that we should look at the Texas reaction to the horns down? And I'm talking about the desire to get it as a penalty, if other teams actually do it in a game, the desire, obviously, back in the Big 12 days to try and make it almost like if you did it in your own home, you would get a 15-yard penalty on your team the next time they took the field.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? And how should we think about that?
Keep doing it. I think it's hilarious. I mean, y'all use it more than, I don't even know what y'all's hand sign is. Someone says it's this, but I've never seen a center do it. So
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I think it's funny. I enjoy it. And nothing is better than when a team, or it doesn't matter the sport. I post about it many times, but the best part is when someone does the horns down like before the game starts or when they're winning, and then somehow Texas comes back and wins it. That's like the best.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
would encourage that because it gives me hope that maybe if we win, I can embarrass this person.
One thing that I think is
Like
funny
it.
is OU fans, and I don't do it personally, but you'll see cameras panning when it's OU versus
Yeah.
I mean
Kansas State or
Tulane or
something,
Kansas
yeah.
State,
Yeah.
and people get the
And you see
screen.
'em.
They put
I
the
think it's
horns
stupid.
down.
Yeah.
I think it's the silliest thing, but it's almost, it's so far ingrained into some of these
Yeah.
people where it's almost instinctual, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm just immediately
That's
gonna
what
do
we
it.
do.
Like it's
Well,
just
and the people that get offended by it, it's instinctually embedded in them for some reason. And I'm talking
Uh-huh.
to the older crowd. Like I don't know any of me and my friends that care about it. It's more like my parents would care about it type of issue.
Okay.
You know, so
Okay.
that's
those
fair.
people are on Twitter, not as widespread as the younger kids, but they're on there and they sometimes make us sound like whiny babies. So
Well,
don't
that's sort of the
listen to 'em.
impression we get, but to
Yeah.
me, it would be a compliment if the other teams are always doing something that's a direct reference to my team. It's like, well, obviously
They're thinking about
they're
us.
thinking about you. And
Well,
you're
yeah, and
you're the object.
the top two hand signs in college football are hook 'em horns and horns down. Like we own both, so that's
Right.
pretty cool.
You sort of own one. I don't know if you own the other one. I think we actually own the other one, but or at least you wouldn't claim it.
I meant to bring this to the show tonight, but I saw somewhere the Daily Texan posted, like, I don't remember the year. I think it was like 60 something when the very first like documented horns down was done. Like,
Oh,
since
That'd be
like
cool.
60s apparently, just like in like photo evidence of it. So I think that's
Mhm.
pretty crazy.
That's incredible.
Time.
That is crazy. It's funny to me. It's so obvious, but I guess it's somebody had to think of it. Somebody had to think, let's do this, and like, oh, okay, I get it. It shows you how distinct the hand sign is because other teams have hand signs and we don't reverse them. We don't
Right.
reverse Oklahoma State stuff. We don't reverse
Yeah.
the Texas Tech
The tech,
stuff. Or,
yeah, the tech sheet.
yeah,
They're
any
not
of that.
losing.
Yeah.
Or like, can you imagine doing like a horned frog upside
Yeah,
down?
horn, yeah, like you twist
Don't
it.
do that.
Just like They might ask you to leave the stadium.
Yeah.
Who does the Kiehn? Because
Oklahoma State and Kansas through Keys.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
Wait, well,
Baylor does the bear
what's a
paw.
key? What's a key? I've never seen a key.
They do like they shake their keys before kickoff.
Oh.
And the running joke is they do it in Stillwater. And the running joke is, you know, people are warming their cars up because OU's beating their ass so bad. So.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, when you look out at the landscape of college football, and Texas right now is number one, so
Yeah.
they're sort of in some kind of a driver's seat. Who do you feel like in conference and then nationally are going to be the biggest challenges for Texas between where they are today and getting to a national title?
Always OU, no matter what, OU will always be in that bucket. I mean, now you could throw A&M into that. You know, I wasn't really worried about A&M, but you know, now they got confidence. They've won like 5 in a row or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're
and
three
they have a
you play, and their
sneaky.
schedule's not that
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a sneaky easy
it's very
schedule.
favorable. So now I got to worry about that one. And you know, it's similar to the Red River game because it's pure rivalry, hatred.
There's a lot of hate in that game.
inside
There's a
you
lot
and
of-
generations of family members. Like so anything can happen in that game. So having more of those types of games on the schedule is always a bad thing if you're trying to win.
Are you as nervous about the Georgia game now? I mean, I'm not saying you were initially, but I mean, starting the year, Georgia's the one you're circling after OU probably, or
Yeah.
equivalent to that. But how do you feel about the Georgia game next week?
No, I'm still thinking that like that's the game that defines our season pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very important one.
Yeah.
You know, Arkansas, Kentucky, nah, it's definitely
Any chance for an overlook of this game because of Georgia next?
Oh yeah, there's always that possibility. But Sark had 2 weeks to plan for this. I don't think he overlooked it. So I think he'll be fine.
Who among realistic contenders would you like to see Texas face in the SEC title?
I mean, probably Bama. I don't know. I think we know their team pretty well. And
Not Vanderbilt?
no, I'm actually worried about Vanderbilt now.
Well, I mean, they do follow OU and Georgia.
Yeah. all those off-season tweets I saw about with the screenshot of the all-time record, it's like 8-2 with Vandy winning, and their last game was like 100 years ago, but they still are ahead of us. People always post that. That's the only team in the SEC we have a losing record to. So now I'm even worried about that just because of the
right.
Yeah.
weird
That's
stuff.
funny.
Yeah.
That's very unique. So we saw that you made a score prediction. We always do score predictions on our pod. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you for a score prediction. You can have the same one, or you can change it up if you have come to new information. How much is OU going to win by?
Negative
Order, they might be ahead. Might be like 10-7 type of thing,
Okay.
or 7-3 type of thing.
All right. So what's your final score?
Well, like I said, it'll be close at half. I think OU gets a field goal, if maybe 2 if they're lucky in the second half. Once we start jiving, so I'm going to say 35-13-ish, somewhere in there.
That's obviously a solid win. That more than covers the spread. Texas would have to feel really good about. You always feel good about a victory in this game, no matter what.
Right. Yeah.
But you have to feel very confident about that, and you're riding high. And OU, that would be a bad loss for OU, most likely. It's hard to think about how, with context, you could justify only putting 13 points on the board and giving up 35. But we'll see. I'll take the under on that.
Well,
on
didn't you
margin.
get 15 on Tennessee?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's basically that.
Yeah, well, we're gonna go
Well,
ahead
Jack-
and not play Jackson Arnold.
He turned the ball over 3 times in the first half. One at the 5-yard line,
Yeah.
and then one at the 35-yard line.
That's
So give us 30, since basically that's what we were able to put together. Michael
Goes up and up.
No, we'll see. Anything else for Kyle? I know we want to be cognizant and respectful of his time.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah,
Anything else
thanks.
you want to
anytime,
ask
guys.
us?
I love this stuff.
Do you get to engage with many OU fans aside from Blinken?
Oh yeah, they're actually I'm probably closest to OU fans than any other fan base besides Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder
Like a
why.
lot of them,
Yeah.
a lot of them were like, "Oh, this guy is Texas, but he's cool. He knows what he's talking about. He's fun." He
Well,
doesn't
I
take
would
it
say
too
there's a
seriously.
lot of mutual respect that way.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
both respect the rivalry a lot. We hold it sacred. And each team is a part of that. You can't separate the other team away from what is that whole. And also just we respect the history, the tradition, the winning, a team that is matching up against OU versus these other so-called rivals that just year in and year out don't bring it and aren't competitive with. You know, we're competitive with Texas throughout the entire year because if we're not looking forward to the game, we're upset about how the game went, or we're happy about how the game went, or it's recruiting season and we're obviously competing. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a big mutual respect for sure.
Oh,
Well,
I forgot to
Kyle,
ask. How do y'all feel about the new 2:30 kickoff?
I like it. I like it a lot.
I love it.
Me too.
To me, the only negative is it makes getting home difficult. It was nice about the 11. You could at your leisure make your way out of the fair
Yep.
and drive home and get home at a decent hour. That was the only redeeming quality, but it made it the
Yeah.
night before so
didn't think about
difficult. It
that.
makes the
Yeah.
morning so just pandemonium and stress. So this is going to be so nice. It's nice to set. We're going to be there for like 3 hours to yell at Texas fans. It's going to be amazing. That band, they don't
don't know
see
what's
me
coming.
coming.
They don't know
They don't know what's coming.
I'm
Yeah,
not
the-
looking forward to 97 degrees or whatever it's gonna be.
I think it dropped down. I think it dropped down to 90.
Oh,
I saw like
okay.
93. Yeah.
That's
so-
still too much.
Yeah,
It's October.
Yeah. I was like, that's all bad.
Cool it
Yeah,
off.
that's tough.
Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah.
it's a good thing. I'm really excited for it. I
I
think,
totally agree.
yeah,
I used to hate getting up at the crack of dawn.
Yes.
We got a parking spot on someone's lawn.
in the
Yeah.
ghetto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's also good that I think it's better for TV. So that is the prime spot. 11 a.m. is just, it's hard, I think, as a football fan who's not really attached to one of the two teams. And I think it's something that holds back Michigan, Ohio State. It's almost always at 11. And I think that weakens that
Yeah.
game.
You lose a lot of the West Coast.
You lose the West Coast. You just lose a lot of the, I don't know, the feel and the ambiance. I'm not ready for the big game to be the first game.
Well,
on.
and building up throughout the morning is part of the whole thing.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so
You know,
eating,
the build up
eating
to the
12
game.
different times and like going through a 12-pack before the game gets going is a lot better than, racing home from the pumpkin patch
Right.
Yeah.
game in
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll still get the 12-pack in no matter what. They could.
Yeah, always.
We
But
had the 10 a.m. Cotton Bowl kickoff in 2002 or 2001, and I got my 12-pack in. Don't worry about that.
nice.
Well, seriously, Kyle, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks again.
Nice meeting you. Thanks for joining
nice
us.
meeting you.
We'll stay in touch and
Best of luck.
at the very least try to do it again next year.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be
Or
there.
in the SEC title before the SEC title game when we meet
Yeah.
you guys. All right. Well,
I won't
appreciate
be there, but you can still interview me.
it. Oh, okay. All right, we're back. So that was thanks a lot to Kyle. That was really nice of him to come on and share his thoughts. He's just like we said on the pod, it's we can just respect and have this camaraderie and connection with Texas fans in a way that you don't get with other fans for sure. Even when we talk about places like Tennessee where there's a lot of tradition, they don't have the history with us the way that Texas does. And so even though there's the hatred, there's just a different type of connection there that I think is pretty special. I'm not going to completely disregard what he said or dismiss it, but I feel like he's drinking a little bit of the Kool-Aid, and maybe he's rightfully so. They're number one in the nation.
There's a lot of orange flavored Kool-Aid going around.
He's bought in.
And it'd be hard not to.
Yeah,
Like your team's number one.
Yeah.
You haven't played an opponent that you haven't dominated.
true.
You're going into your biggest game of the season, probably of your season.
Yeah,
It's bigger than the Georgia game at this point.
Yeah.
And you've got everything to gain, and at the same time you've got a lot to lose.
you have a
as
lot
well.
to lose.
He qualifies as a homer, so he's welcome on this podcast.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He absolutely is. So I tried to tease out of him if he thought there was a weakness on Texas, and he really wasn't taking the bait on that. I think there's got to be everybody has a weakness, so maybe Brent Venables and company can find it. But I'll tell you what's not weak. That is our latest sponsor. So we're real excited about our newest sponsor for the podcast, Wonderfolk Spirits, the maker of Only One Vodka and Two Ponies Straight Bourbon. I got that held up there. Perfect.
Ponies, baby.
Yeah, Two Ponies Straight Bourbon Whiskey. They're a new game day tradition for Sooner fans, complementing success on the field with excellence in the glass. I'll tell you, it's great. So for decades, two strong, steadfast ponies have carried the traditions and values that set the Oklahoma Sooners apart. Inspired by this spirit, Two Ponies Straight Bourbon Whiskey, finished in second oak barrels, is crafted to honor the rich heritage of its namesake. Two Ponies is a straight bourbon whiskey, double-barreled in American white oak, echoing the excellence that defines the OU brand, because there's only one Oklahoma. Thank you to Wonderfolk Spirits
Thank you,
for
indeed. Yep.
for this.
Enjoying it.
And we even got the glasses. It's awesome. It's great. We're very much enjoying it. Maybe enjoying it too much. I don't know.
Yeah.
Only one vodka.
We need to try to get some shirts. This is a great logo for a shirt.
It would be a great logo for a shirt. Is the vodka is
Vodka's tasty. Yep.
excellent, excellent. Well, we're going to be talking about that in the coming midweeks. Thanks a lot to them. Well, let's get to some of the stuff that we always like to cover, which would include and start with trivia. Tell us some trivia, Connor.
All right, let me get my notes
Ask us
pulled
some
up
trivia.
here. Here we go.
I even got to look at this, and I don't have a clue.
All right. So, trivia question. Sorry, I'm gonna pull up my text message. Actually, it's well worded there. All right, first, it's a three-part trivia. All right. So bear with me.
I don't have the brain cells.
But
for
it
this.
all no, you do. So a lot of hype in this game, including what we've talked about, Texas #1 team in the country. Big deal. First question, how many times has a team in this matchup been ranked #1?
11.
You sounded very confident in that.
I'm very confident.
No, just a guess.
Either team.
Either team.
Man, I'm gonna take the under on 11, but I'll be more precise. I'll say, oh boy, I'll say 7 times.
Oh, I was gonna lowball the 11, but since you did, maybe I'll just go the other way. Maybe it's been a whole bunch of times. I'm gonna go with 22 times.
Wow. No, it's 12.
Nice.
12 times. Well guessed. Well confident guessed. I know you didn't know, but that's very good. I had the breakdown in a spreadsheet that I don't have handy on my phone. But it's been 12 times. Go along with
Do you
that.
know if it's OU or Texas more?
I do.
Okay.
So Texas has been #1 4 times. OU has been #1 8 times out of the 12. All right, next question to saddle back off of that is, what is each team's record when they have been ranked #1? So Texas has been ranked again 4 times. OU ranked #1 8 times.
I think Texas is 4-0 and they're #1.
Okay.
When they're #1, it's probably when we're down. Earl Campbell years, maybe. Definitely 70 and 71. Potentially, they would have won we won in 71. 69 and 70, that's when they were good. Oh man, I feel like we've gotten beat. I'm gonna say half of those times. So, although the Wilkinson years probably were in our favor. So
I'm going to say 4-0 Texas
6,
because Steve's taking too long.
7,
and I'm going
8.
to say 6-2 Oklahoma.
I'm gonna say 6-2 Oklahoma, and I'm gonna say 3-1 Texas.
What'd you say?
4-0 Texas, and I actually think we've probably underperformed. I'll say 3-5.
Okay. 3-0-1 for Texas. Had a tie in there.
Okay.
The 1980.
4 game.
Yes, 1984.
Shouldn't have been a tie.
My first OU Texas.
OU, nail on the head, 6-2.
Wow.
So OU's actually, percentage-wise, I guess, has outperformed Texas.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
All right. Last question to tack onto it. When was the last time outside of this year that a team was ranked #1?
While we're thinking about that, I guess technically percentage-wise, they outperformed us. 3-0-1 is better than 6-2.
6
But I'm gonna call. I'd rather have 6-2 than 3-0-1. Yeah. Say the question again. I'm sorry.
When was the last time
Either team.
either team has been ranked #1 in this rivalry outside of this year?
They probably were in 05.
I don't think they would be in 05.
I don't think they were in 05
USC would
yet.
have been number 1 05.
I think so. I think that's right.
After they destroyed us in Orangeburg.
What about in
OU and
what about in 09?
OU in
Was
01?
Texas number 109?
OU and 01, we definitely were, right? Wouldn't we have been?
I doubt it.
We're, I mean, preseason we hadn't lost, but maybe because of the quarterback change. 03 for the Sooners. It's got to be back then, right?
I'm really proud of myself for having the longest trivia questions in
Yeah,
the history of our
or
trivia.
the old three-parter, you know.
Yeah.
Good old 3-part.
What about 08?
That was what came to my mind, which we lost.
We weren't number one. Do you think they were?
No, they wouldn't have been. I was
You don't
thinking
think we
might
were
have
number
been.
one?
Because, well, after that game
Or
is when we
Florida-
started
Florida?
our 65
Florida's
game
probably
streak.
Florida's right up
oh
there. I mean, we were a surprise in 08. I mean,
All right,
we
let's go
we weren't-
1985.
Okay.
That's no 1987.
Okay.
I'll say 09 Texas.
2008, Oklahoma.
Nice, really? Were we really?
And we
Number
lost.
one.
God,
Yep.
we
That's
shot
one of
up
our-
in the
one
polls.
of our two.
Texas was number 2 or 3
Man.
that season.
That's one of our two out of our
That's-
6 and 2.
Yeah, that's
All
uh,
very good guesses though. You
that's-
guys were
that's good
you
trivia.
guys were on it.
good trivia. Very
what
good,
Texas
very good
was in 09?
questions.
Because they only lost.
I mean, that's when
one
they lost to
game in
Vanderbilt.
08 or something.
They would have
Yeah,
been
championship.
in
Yeah.
they would have been like early in the season, probably like 4 or 5. I'll have to go back and look. No, I have it pulled up. In 09, Texas was ranked
I'm going to say 3.
number 3.
Steel trap.
In 08, it was number 1 OU versus number 5 Texas.
1
2000
versus 5.
2001, we were number
Thanks to
3.
Michael Crabtree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Made the national championship game that year.
That
We were
was
number
amazing.
1 in 2003. So, yeah. Lot of high matchup games in the early to mid 2000s.
You know, one of the
a
reasons
lot of high matchup
we don't get
games.
enough credit for, Ohio State and Michigan talk about their history in that regard. And a lot of that goes back to years of in a relatively weak Big Ten conference. And they're the only 2 teams. And by the time everything has played out, in years they happen to be good,
Because we play so early.
we play so early.
Yeah.
They're the only team, and we weren't in conference. And so they're in conference in a weak conference, and the years they happen to be good teams, well, by definition, they're almost surely going to be right up
Got a
there.
10 and over.
And so they got a
9
lot
and
of
1 or
chances
something.
to be
how,
there.
How amazing would that be to
Oh,
bump OU Texas down to the last weekend in
No,
November?
no, no,
weekend
no,
of
no, no,
Thanksgiving.
Oh no,
No,
screw,
no,
that'd be
no,
incredible.
no.
That would be incredible.
No.
What's the objection?
This is when the game's supposed to be played. Second Saturday in October.
The fair's not the fair.
Texas
State Fair is
Texas
not
Fair
in-
won't be going
in
on. Like,
November.
what are you gonna do? Yeah.
You're gonna go to the game?
No, it's that totally different atmosphere. Then you move it to Jerry World. Now, what we do is we meet them in the SEC title game,
Okay.
and then
All right.
the second
I'll
matchup.
concede.
Could you imagine? I'm sure it's still numerically possible, but the SEC talking heads exploding if
The first
OU
year.
and Texas first year was in the SEC
Are you kidding?
championship game?
It's possible, mathematically possible. It's absolutely on the table.
There
I
would,
mean, there's
there
nothing
would be some people
standing
who would,
between it right now,
there would be some people who would cease to exist
other
because
than
they
them
would,
winning, and
they
that's
would
winning.
disintegrate.
Yeah,
because of
it
the
would
fact
be
it's
us winning this weekend
And
and
then
winning
we-
out.
And
then
winning
Texas
out and
winning
winning out, and it's a lock.
That would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
that would be crazy.
That would be
They
amazing.
would literally lose it. They would.
They'd lose it or they'd love it.
They'd lose it. They'd lose it.
Because
The two
regardless
new
of what
teams
happens,
coming in
regardless of what
SEC
happens, that SEC
two Big
championship, you're in the
12
playoff.
teams, the 2 Big 12 teams moving into
Well,
SEC
Sankey and others
one.
have to say, "Yep, we did a good job."
Yeah, we knew we were doing.
Yeah,
Of course, they were crying when Missouri made 2 SEC championships
true.
back-to-back
Yeah.
years when
yeah.
they first joined.
And didn't A&M have success early on?
They still haven't played an SEC title.
No,
game.
that's right. They didn't.
Well, Manziel had success. I mean, they had success, but not
Yeah, not that.
championship.
Not
Yeah,
the
they haven't
champion.
been to a SEC title game. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
That's
Chance.
A&M for you.
They got a weird chance this year. They kind of came out of nowhere.
There's a lot of teams with weird chances, and it'll be interesting to see the records of the 2 teams that meet in that game, with implications for how many SEC teams get into the playoff for sure. But all of that is very much up in the air. there is nothing that you could say is a lock to any degree about who's going to be in the SEC title right now. I'm telling you, we joke, Vanderbilt could be there. Vanderbilt could be there. Nobody's a lock, but I tell you what is a lock, and that is the locks of the week.
The Realist Deal Locks of the Week.
So locks of the week are sponsored by 5 Star Concrete. They are the Realist Deal Locks of the Week. David and Josh, local business servicing the metro area. Patios, sidewalks, driveways, shops. If it's concrete, those guys can do it. They do a wonderful job. Very professional. Call them, text them, 405-306-3014, or look them up on Facebook, 5 Star Concrete. Really appreciate their sponsorship for sure. So guys, locks of the week. Oh, I didn't pull it up and I meant to. Let me see. Let's look at locks of the week. Let's see how we did last week.
Uh-oh.
Hey, what do you know? Somebody
Someone's in the
won
call.
more than he lost. 2-1.
Attaboy.
I figured out how to win games. I was 2-1 last week.
Proud of you.
Connor was 1-2. Lucas was 1-2. Jay
Had a down
was
week.
all right. You won the Clemson game. I don't know why it's not marking it. You were 2-1.
Yep.
Yeah. You
Screw you,
you
Jay.
took a break. So
I put my faith in Lincoln Riley.
the listener was 2-1. So our overall 7-11 for me, Connor 8-10, Lucas 10-7, Jay 15-3.
Woo!
As a group, 40-31-1. You're the one, Lucas, 10-7-1. 56% for us as a team. The listeners 56% as well. So let's see if we can outperform the listener this week, and let's see if we can win some games. I'm feeling pretty strong about mine. Mine is the all hatred group, or at least there's an OU tie-in to each and every one of them. I don't know, hatred's a little strong. Well, let's start with the listener. What did the listener do for us, and who's our listener this week?
Our listener is Colin, a coworker of mine, and he's got some interesting picks. So Colin is going to go with Vandy getting 13.5 against Kentucky. We were talking about this game on the way
Kinda
back
like it.
from dinner. If there's a under to be taken this week, it's probably the Vandy
I don't
Kentucky
like
under.
I don't like his pick. I actually think
You
Kentucky.
think, you think they're gonna have a letdown?
I think they're gonna have a huge
Could be a
letdown.
letdown.
Party too much.
Way too much
We'll have
party.
let down, but Kentucky's offense is horrific.
They are.
I know.
So that's why I wanted to take the under as a lock of the week. even
Under
though
would be
it's
great.
allowed
But that's
to.
not on the table. But I'm
What
telling
if
you,
these kids are too smart to have a
that's that would be like saying they're too smart to have a bad
No,
football
no, it's
team.
not
And,
smart. It's
and
just
we've got
they're
90
rich.
years of history.
They're a bunch of rich kids.
Actually, I heard if you can get into Vanderbilt, they'll pay your tuition. Like you just
Yeah,
could
there's a
get
lot of
in.
ways to get paid. Yeah, that's actually
There's
what I've heard
there's
too.
a few Colts out there, I think. Second pick is Cal getting 3.5 against Pittsburgh. Found that line a little earlier.
I think again he's discounting and not taking in. I'm going to criticize every one of his picks here. I think he's not thinking about the fact that Cal just had a heartbreaking, ridiculous loss to Miami. We actually lost to the referees, and now they got to go all the way across the country. It's at Pittsburgh, right?
Yep.
That's tough. That's a lot of
Same
travel.
criticism I'll give to it.
They are smart kids, though. He apparently goes for the smart kids.
He's a smart guy. So,
Oh,
he has as his final pick Missouri giving 27.5 against UMass.
I like that pick. I can't criticize that pick.
Yeah, that
It's a
one's
good
a
I love
pick.
how the guy with the worst record is the most critical of everybody else's picks.
Hey, it's just wait. It's a full season. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes, we're only halfway through.
A little ticked off Missouri.
I'll take crap off of him, not you.
I finished ahead of you last year and so far this year.
It's so far this year. So far.
Who's
Do
next?
you not like the Missouri pick?
I'll go. No, I think, yeah, I'll go Missouri that one. I mean, UMass is horrendous. That shouldn't be D1.
Aren't they a basketball team?
I've
they
got Rutgers -2.5 against Wisconsin. BYU -3.5 against Arizona. And Minneapolis -5. Sorry, Minnesota
Yeah, I was
-5.
gonna say, wow, that's a lock, baby.
We're going deep.
Minnesota
out there.
-5 to UCLA. UCLA is a dumpster fire right now.
I didn't even see that game. I like that a lot.
It's -5 even.
Yes.
Okay. So Yeah, they
That is-
are.
That,
I think that's a good
that's
number.
I think
That's a good,
great pick. I didn't-
that's a good pick. That's a good pick. BYU Zona, I am with you on that one. I like BYU in that one.
Well, now I'm worried.
Right?
He just
What do you
praised-
got,
he just
Jay?
praised two of my picks. Oh, crap.
You know, Vegas has caught up to me, so
Uh-oh.
I'm not
Shut
feeling
up.
confident.
Oh, gosh. Oh,
I
I only
know,
win
I
67% of my games.
I know more than them when there's less games played. Okay, because I have the eye test. But Vegas is all the numbers calculated. and it's starting to get
That
tougher
sounds
and tougher.
really thought out.
I'm with Lucas. I
Oh,
like
God.
BYU
I like that.
minus. Is it 4 or 3.5?
3.5.
3.5 versus Arizona. I'm also going to take Bama minus 21. I think it's a redemption game
Is
for
that out
Bama.
South Carolina?
I think they're going to be ticked off. No, it's at Bama.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with a team that hasn't played anybody yet. I know we just talked about Texas doing this a
I thought
lot,
you were about to say Texas.
but a team that I think is still vastly overrated. I'm taking Ohio State minus 3
I like it.
at Oregon.
I like it a lot.
-3?
Yeah.
You found it at -3? I
Uh,
found it at -3.5. Oh,
No, I saw it at -3 on ESPN today.
all
okay,
right.
yeah, I was gonna say I
Good
just
for you.
I just picked it like
All right.
2 hours ago. So
Well, I'll accept it. All right. Good deal. Connor, what do you got?
All right, I will round us off. I've got Penn State, good old Nittany Lions, giving 5.5 against USC. I know we talked about this earlier. I won't be shocked if USC wins the game.
it might have moved to 5.
Let me know. Moving on to the next while
I
you
did-
look that up. Pittsburgh giving 3 to Cal. Got the opposite of Colin on that one. I'm 100% with you, Steve. I think a heartbreaking loss against Miami is going to have morale way down. And then I'm going to jump on the Boise State train. The running back they have, if he's not the runaway Heisman at this point, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing.
That game's in Hawaii, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
It's sweetened by the sun.
It is sweetened by the sun. They are giving 21 against Hawaii. I think Boise jumps up early in that game, and I think it. I mean, they keep running the ball. I think we'll be fine. So.
I like that pick a
You're gonna
lot.
like this. ESPN has Penn State minus 4.5.
All right, I will
We're
take
taking
Penn State
4.5.
giving 4.5. Let's go. Did
Nice.
something happen? Because now I'm a little concerned.
It moved in your direction and you don't like it.
Did you take Rutgers?
Yep.
At what?
I think it was 2.5.
Okay,
2.5.
that's still at 2.5.
All right. So we're not gonna live check all these.
Yeah.
He already placed his
I will
bets.
take the Penn State at
4.5.
4.5.
Well, I think you are gonna take that because I'm gonna take that. Penn State 4.5, USC. That's my first OU tie-in hatred game. Lincoln going
You
down.
won on that one last week, right?
So I did, and and it's not about an anti-Lincoln thing. It's just I don't believe in what they've got going on at
Yeah.
USC. Now, at the same time,
last week proves that.
I'm a little scared about taking Penn State because I'm not sold on Penn State at all. I think Franklin isn't that good. They haven't played anybody. I could easily see USC wins this game and I look foolish.
I
but-
work with some Penn State guys who.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've tried to convince them of that.
They're
and
so
they
arrogant.
won't jump on it.
Oh,
So,
God.
maybe they'll
Well-
be my next listener lock of the week.
The next one, I'm going to have to agree with Jay. I like the Ohio State against Oregon, given 3. I think that this is kind of the Dylan Gabriel's my connection to OU on this pick. So I'm not sold on Ohio State. They also haven't played anybody. At least by ranking or whatever that was, they have the weakest schedule of anyone so far. However, they look like a more complete team than Oregon. Oregon's had struggles in multiple games. They play late. Nobody watches them. I don't think people realize that they just don't look that good. So I like Ohio State in that one, and I like the Sooners. I like the Sooners getting 14.5
Love it.
Texas.
Love the pick.
And just I don't know, to be honest, it sounds like a homer pick, but it's not. I'm getting 14.5 points.
That's
In
a
a-
lot of points.
It's a lot of points in this game. Look back at the historical scores in this game. You just don't see that type of a margin very often. Occasionally you do, and it's a runaway sometimes, but usually it's a really tight game. And even in those games that ended up being big margins, a few things go different and it's a tight game. So I'm going to defend that pick I think it's a pretty solid pick. You got a top 25 matchup and it's a neutral site. It's as neutral gets. And you've got one of the teams getting 14.5 points, more than 2 touchdowns. I just like our chances. So I got the Sooners in that one.
All right.
Connor, you got a prop bet of the week. What is the prop bet of the week?
I do. So I kind of mentioned it earlier, and again, let me go into a little bit of explanation here. So, as Lucas looks at his watch,
What do you have to do? You don't have
he's
anything to
fine.
do.
He's got those Christmas trees to distribute.
Oh, Christmas tree time. Oh, Christmas time.
That's the trigger word. Trigger warning. No, I really do think a lot of this game is one up front on the defensive side of the ball. So OU is averaging 3.6 sacks per game, which is tied for 5th in the nation. Okay. Texas is allowing 1 sack per game, tied for 17th.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give, right? So over under on OU sacks at 3.5 points, or sorry, 3.5 sacks. Let me give you a little background. Texas opponents, if you combine them collectively, are averaging 1.87 sacks per game, which we tied for 77th in the country. Colorado State averages 1, Michigan averages 2.83, UTSA averages 2.2, Louisiana Monroe 2.4, Mississippi State averages 1.
I'm gonna go under. I think we get 3 sacks. So that puts us under the number.
And let's
Still be
be
happy
honest,
with that.
3 would be
I'd be happy
great.
with that.
We'd be
I'd
so
really
happy with 3. Yeah. If
sacks.
you dial up 3, that's 3 big sacks.
I'm going over.
I like that. I'm going to
Bring
go
the
over
heat,
too.
huh?
We're bringing the heat.
We're going to bring the heat.
I'm gonna go over as well, and I do think it's because of some of the blitz packages that we're gonna run. I think we saw a glimpse of it.
I think
and-
we have to. I mean, I think we have to
No,
have
for
5,
sure.
6.
And I think at the end of the Tulane game, the end of the Auburn game with R. Mason Thomas, I think those are more designed plays to get him where he needs to go. No one's gonna convince me that it's just some freak of nature that decides to take over in the 4th quarter. Like there's something being worked there.
Right.
I think you move that up in the game plan and you say that we're going to implement this earlier on
Oh,
to create
I'm
havoc.
totally with you. So 2 points on that. One, if we were facing a quarterback like Michael Hawkins, I'd be more concerned about the 3.5 and getting there because it's just difficult to sack a guy like that who's got
Exactly.
quickness and
Yeah.
everything. These guys are not that quick.
Right.
And so we may get some sacks that we wouldn't get against a quick quarterback. I was thinking the same thing. So I did a poll this week. The poll this week was when OU beats Texas, who will be the MVP? Michael Hawkins, Danny Stutzman, offense, another player on offense or another player on defense. And Michael Hawkins was the number 1. Stutzman was the clear 4th place. And then it was pretty close between, I didn't look at the final numbers, between another person on offense, another person on defense. I flirted with R. Mason Thomas as being just the standalone and in place of Danny or just as another person.
Mhm.
But I wanted to kind of be a catch-all because I was thinking the same thing. That may be, I don't know.
There's something there.
You almost have to do that, right? You have to say, as a coach, whatever I'm doing and as a player, whatever you're
It's
doing
working.
right now,
Yeah.
let's do that earlier in the game.
Well, and you look at some of the blitz packages we ran against like Tulane specifically, where we had PJ and who else did we have standing
Kind
up?
of a NASCAR package.
Yeah, just the NASCAR like Trace Ford
Trace
standing up
Ford.
at linebacker, and you had Danny standing up on the line. Like, just the look alone is enough to be checking out of stuff like crazy if you're Texas or causing confusion, like you said, Jay. Except this time on the defensive side of the ball. I think it's just going to be a huge factor in the game to get people involved on the defensive side into the offensive backfield.
Does an intentional grounding count as a sack?
I don't think
Because
so.
I don't think it
think-
does, but
and
it
it should.
should.
I think yours is smart enough that he will dump the ball, even if it means an intentional grounding, as opposed to
Getting hit.
getting a sack,
Getting a hit.
fumble, or something like that.
Well, yeah, that'd be a smart move. That's actually a good point in a number of respects because and you're probably going there.
But I mean,
Like, it avoids
it
this.
serves the same purpose for the defense,
But-
because you're taking the loss of yardage
However,
and the loss of down,
It doesn't hit,
but it
take the
takes away the
hit.
threat of the.
It doesn't
chance of
take the
fumble.
threat. Well, chance for a fumble, chance for an injury, and the emotion of it.
Most of the time, it doesn't take the hit.
The emotion of it is different.
Well, he's
So in
he's
this
got some
game-
sort of abdominal injury of some kind.
He has an
right?
extra spleen or something. I don't know
Yeah,
how it works.
So he can't really afford to take those hits.
That's
either.
true.
Same with when he goes to scramble for a first down. Is he gonna lay it all on the line?
Well, and you have someone in there like Reggie Powers. I mean, who's rotating in, and
Boganowski.
Boganowski.
Boganowski's
Boganowski's the one who I meant to say. Who's
Headhunter.
doing
Amigo.
everything outside of headhunting. I mean, have fun. Like, I want those type of guys in the game, because those are the guys in this atmosphere that fully impact the game, especially when it's a very, very run positive type of down. Like, I imagine Zach Alley's rotations are going to be insane.
You know, there's somebody else that we have not talked about, and this plays right into
Hey,
it.
Mo.
Who's coming back? No, who's coming back to this game? First time this year. That's
Yeah.
Deshaun McCall.
Yeah, I don't expect a lot.
I mean, he's an outside rush guy. I don't think you play Deshaun inside the 20s. I think you get his length and athleticism in the red zone.
I mean, look what he did on the goal line stand last year.
Yep.
I mean, he was a big factor on 2 of those 4 plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would be interested to see. I mean, we haven't seen him play as much, but like Omasigo and those guys. I mean, how different is he from those guys?
But if you have like a 3rd and 7,
Longer.
3rd and goal from
He's
the 7
longer.
or
Yeah.
something like that, and you're dropping in zone, I mean, you're talking about,
Yeah.
a 7-foot wingspan.
The wingspan.
Kid.
Yeah,
That's
but
playing the
you're
zone.
he's playing the zone, but he's also lost in coverage. Like, does he know how to play his
And
zone?
and back to our point about viewers, the rust factor has to be considered there too. But it's different for a quarterback than a guy that you're just asking to be a disruptor.
I kind of
You just kind of cut the reins and say, go get him.
I kind of view like Deshaun McCullough this year like I viewed Key Lawrence last year. Like a veteran guy who's been around, and he's not like a veteran guy that's like Justin Broyles.
Well, I don't want to say
one
that
of
we
those guys.
misused him last year. I think we wanted to make him more of a
I think
well-rounded player.
I think we thought he could be more than what he is.
No, in coverage. I think if you just unleash him to go get the
Run?
quarterback, go get the ball, I
Mhm.
think that's what he
I mean, he
excelled
came
at.
in
That's
as a
what he
defensive
excelled
end
at.
essentially to Indiana.
Indiana,
Yeah.
which is outside rush.
And then we try to convert him into a cheetah.
Yes.
I think he is more of a D end
Yeah.
or a stand-up rusher.
Yeah. He's
Well,
like a
could
3-4
he
linebacker.
be?
Yeah.
And this is the first chance we've had potentially, you could argue, with a Venables defense getting to where he wants it to be. Could he be the Dan Cody that we saw when Dan Cody did his thing against Texas, where he did as a stand-up rusher? You put him in the weirdest spot, which is just difficult for an offense who looks up and goes, well, how do I account for this guy? And there he is, just as a pure disruptor that you really, as a quarterback, have to know exactly what you need to do to have a chance to get away from a guy who's just going to come clean and be after you.
Our slot coverage has been just so weird this year, though. I feel like if he's in there, there's going to be times where he's going to be called upon to go out and drop into coverage. I hope I would much rather see the Dan Cody like disruptor. Like, I don't care what the
Yeah.
play call is. This suit's going to stand up
But
on
maybe
the end.
he's
right,
part of
and
that
he's going to go
NASCAR
get it.
package. Though.
Maybe,
Maybe
right.
he's on
Yeah.
the few 3rd and longs we have. You've got PJ out there. You've got him standing up out there. You've got Trace Ford.
Trace Ford.
You've
That's
got
another
David,
guy.
You got David Stone, and those are your 4 guys on the line that are just
Yep.
gonna just.
That's another
Oh.
guy where there's 2. So judge this. I was thinking of 2 guys that, there's not enough on X to have 15 players as potential on the options on a poll. But I was thinking Trace Ford could be MVP of the game. Even if he's not recognized, he could end up being the guy that, like, you look back and say, wow, the plays he made a huge difference in. The other would be, and I didn't know which one to go with, kind of, Javonte Barnes or Sawchuk or obviously Tatum. Just a running back that comes alive in
That
this
we've
game
seen happen.
that out of nowhere, and all of a sudden the guy's got 150 yards, and he was just trouble all day
And
long.
it's like I told
for
Jay
Texas
before the game.
defense.
It's Dominique Whaley circa
Yeah.
2000, again, 11, 10,
Yeah, 12.
10, 11.
Okay, yeah, 11.
I think it was 11.
Yeah.
Damian Williams.
Yep,
Damian
Damian
Williams,
Williams.
like-
99-yard touchdown or whatever it
Mhm.
was.
So if there's a
95
day
more?
to figure out how to run the football,
I mean, AD's
It's
coming out
today.
party was Texas.
Yeah,
DeMarco
DeMarco
Murray's was
Texas.
Texas. Yeah, we've had several running backs that made a splash in this.
Kennedy
Tatum.
Brooks.
Could
Andy
be
Brooks.
Tatum's day. Could be a reemergence of a guy like Barnes or Sawchuck.
We've given up way too early on Sancho.
We have.
In my
No,
opinion.
I agree. But I mean,
I
it's
haven't
like
given up.
I haven't given up, but
I say we.
you still can't.
I know what you mean.
No, I know, but you still can't put him out there with what he's not done.
But he did, remember, back to what I was saying about the Auburn game, and I know it's one play, but he had a tremendous
He did.
run, a very good
It's
game
called
that
back.
got called back,
Yeah.
and he looked great doing it. So you see that glimpse and you say, well, this guy can run the football.
Well, and
like last year.
and he hit
Yeah.
the cutback.
Yeah.
because that play was designed to go here, and he just been a couple of feet on
That
the
was
back
easy.
side.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Barnes still
doesn't
doesn't
see
see
it.
that.
Yeah.
Barnes must have like a lazy eye or something. I don't know. It's crazy.
I don't know. So let's get to our final thing, which is score predictions. All right.
I want to go with the people who are going to pick us to lose. I want to go
Lucas,
Lucas first.
go first.
Yeah.
Give us a realist pick.
Texas 27, Oklahoma 20. Texas with a 7-point victory.
I like it. They cover the spread. I respect
I
Huh.
like it.
Jay, what do you think it'll be?
27-20 Texas.
Oh my God.
What I texted.
He had it. So if I were to give a realist score, it would be that. And notice we cover the spread, right? I mean, we only lose by 7 in that
No,
scenario.
I don't hate that lock.
Yeah, no, and I respect that score. Like, I'd be pretty happy
I do
with that
respect
score. I hate that. I'd be pretty happy with that score though.
Oh, this is.
I won't be.
I'll just interject. I don't trust Seth Luttrell to get it done. That's my whole problem.
I think it's fair.
I think the defense plays valiantly.
I have more
I
faith in
think-
Seth Luttrell than you do.
Yes, you
If
do.
we had 2 of the 5 missing receivers,
Yeah, if Deion Burks was playing, I might even change.
I would-
He
I
might
would-
be.
I would probably
He's not
flip flop that. I would probably go
He's
27-20.
probable
Oklahoma.
or questionable.
What
He's not playing.
happened to him?
He's not playing.
But what happened to him?
He hadn't even practiced this game.
But why is he? Like,
Do we know
what
that for sure?
Happened?
Yeah, was there?
You were there.
Yeah.
Why are you not getting us some better information?
No, he's just not gonna play. I don't know.
He's not going to play. I know that. But
I think that's
So-
the biggest difference for me.
anyways, go
I
ahead,
mean,
Steve.
Well,
You're down to your 6th, 7th, and 8th receiver.
yeah.
Your second running back essentially is coming back from a concussion in the biggest game that he'll ever play in.
True
you
freshman
know,
quarterback.
as a True freshman.
You've got your top 3 running backs in the room though playing.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, what's Tatum's pass blocking leaves something to be desired against rum-dum teams that we
And that's
play.
where I hope.
And now you're going to throw him in the
I
middle
don't
of
know
the
that Texas.
console.
I don't know that
trust
Texas brings a bunch of heat. though.
Well, I don't know if again
Yeah, but
back
our
to,
offensive line's not
back to Sawchuck.
5
though.
on 4. He's still going to have to chip those guys.
Back to Sawchuck. Sawchuck may not be. I mean, don't write him off. Like Tatum may be the 3rd guy in the rotation on Saturday.
I think it
Legitimate.
depends on what the play is. If it's a running play, I think Tatum's the 2nd guy. If it's a pass blocking play, he's probably the 3rd guy.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, what you're discounting on all that is Texas hasn't been able to prepare for these guys. They haven't seen the tape, and that's going to work to our advantage because the Sooners are going to score 31 and the Longhorns are going to score 27. They're going to be held to 2 field goals, and that's where the defense comes through. You're going to say they got down to the 10-yard line and the 9-ish yard line. That's what I'm predicting. And we held them, and they had to kick a field goal where they could have gotten 2 touchdowns. If they get 2 touchdowns out of that, they win the game. They get 1 touchdown out of that, they win the game, or they're tied.
So we all have 3 have Texas getting 27.
Yes.
Yes, the 27's a lock. If you don't pick 27, you're a fool for Texas. We're just going to score 31.
Not funny.
Okay.
Connor, what do you think?
I've got Oklahoma winning 31-30.
Ooh, nailed biter. Now, is that a last-second score by Oklahoma? Do they hold on? How does that play out?
It's a late 4th quarter field goal, and then our defense holds.
Ooh,
So we're down 2.
We're down 30-28.
We're down 30-28 at some point in the
Who
fourth.
comes in and kicks? Kellner or Schmidt?
Schmidt does.
Hmm.
Good old Schmidt.
Wow.
Schmitty cements his legacy.
We owe Texas.
A
A
dick
last
with the kicker
second.
million.
Oh my God, do we owe Texas the last
I
second
just-
field goal?
yeah.
Back to my first game, the last second field goal when they tied the game in 1984, 15-15 off the bad call. Keith Stansberry intercepts the ball clearly in bounds. Ridiculous.
Not enough referees in that game.
Not
They
enough
had one.
referees. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Change the NCAA rules, sons of bitches. No, I tell you what, it's exciting. It's everything. It's gonna be so much fun down there in Dallas. Big D. We're gonna be there. We're gonna come back. We're gonna have the pod. Probably gonna be on. I guess it's almost definitely gonna be on Sunday, and so we'll be celebrating on Sunday and bringing you the pod, talking about how good the Sooners are and how they
I'll
won,
be
and
incoherent
how they
still.
made. I'll re-incoherent myself.
It'll be a rough, like,
It's gonna be
be
amazing.
a little sloppy.
It's
You have
gonna
a
be
designated
awesome.
driver for the way home on Saturday.
The good Lord.
I tell you what we need. We need Dr. Michael Kiehn. Thank you to Dr. Kiehn for our sponsorship. If he could come and help us out for the medical condition we're going to be
Couple of
in.
IVs.
Rehydrate us.
Yeah, well, that and
Oh, you could
everything
sponsor
else.
us with IVs. I
Oh,
like that
that'd be
idea.
good.
right
We
there.
have it
That's
like right
great.
here. It's like, you
Oh,
know,
it's
and
perfect. We hang it from the
Hanging back from the lattice.
hanging bag. Nice. That'd be great. Well, thank you to Dr. Kiehn. Thank you to all our sponsors. And I don't know. It's just pretty damn exciting. So
It's that time of
Sooners.
year again. 'Tis the season.
Sooners are going to take on Texas, and one thing we know is that Texas sucks. And Boomer.
Sooner.